Yeah, you know who that is. It's a Southern River band. They're touring Australia at the moment. Make sure you jump on their website to get some tickets. Southern River Band, Cal and the boys from Thornley. Now, I'm back. Did you miss me, Skeet, Thursday? Or what? Did you miss me?
I missed you, but it's just extraordinary. You know, talking about people who want to be part of it and jump on the Matilda's success or the
bandwagon.
Had 2 months ago, seriously.
Bandwagon.
You didn't know the World Cup was on. And then suddenly you're flying around the country watching the Matildas, feeding them. Seat 1A, Scully jumping on board.
I actually was in Seat 1A. That's a very good point. Oh, it was good. It was great.
What a wank.
Seriously. Look, here's my beanie. I should be wearing that right now. Go Matildas. We finished fourth. Shelter FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. Frothtown was Friday, Skeeter.
Yeah.
It's been done. Jay, did you go to Frothtown? Was it fun? Yeah, there you go. Skeet and I.
No, I was working at the Fremantle footy auction, getting another cashy.
I heard it was a good night. Yes, that was good. Oh, really? Auctioneer now, are you?
No, Tony Holly does the auctioneering, and I just do the...
you just talk shit.
I talk, exactly.
Shelter FootyCast on socials. Make sure you write that down because there's some things to get that's coming up this week, Skeeter. Whiskey with Woosha. Thursday night, this Thursday night.
As in John Worsfold.
As in John Worsfold, after he tells us that wants to be on the board at West Coast. I saw that floating around. We have a one-on-one with John Worsfold, 1-on-2, Dan and I, back chat. John Worsfold at Whippersnapper Distillery in East Perth. It's a Thursday night. Tickets via our socials right here on the Shelter FootyCast, backchat socials, or on Whippersnapper's website, which is whippersnapperdistillery.com.au. All proceeds, Skeeter. Don't worry about cashies. I know you talk about cashies.
Don't you start.
All proceeds go to a veterans charity. It's a charity night. John Worsfold. We're not doing any auctions. No bullshit. It's a one-on-one chat with Woosha up the front. We're going to get into all things West Coast, his time at Essendon, his time at Adelaide, his time as a player.
Forget some of those. I mean, Essendon, you remember, but you forget he went,
Yeah.
I forgot he'd gone to Adelaide and the role he played, again, almost like an SOS for a couple of clubs who are going through some really tough times.
Well, we might talk about this in our big moments about his muting for the West Coast Eagles board, but make sure you jump on. It's this Thursday, Whiskey with Woosha. We've got our Thirsty Camel Clanger of the week to get through, Skeeter. Don't run out of your favourites. Go to your shelters at Thirsty Camel.
There's a clubhouse leader. He's $1 for the clubhouse leader for the
year. Could be the Thirsty Camel Clanger of the decade. Big moments of the round. Let's get into these, Skeeter. I just want to play a bit of audio. Off the top, okay? If that's all right with you, Skeeter. I know you don't have your headphones in, but that's fine, mate. I'll play it to myself. Go for it, Jade. If West Coast win the wooden spoon, I'm happy to reveal I will do a naked lap of Optus Stadium, with nothing on because I'll be naked. I'll do a naked lap. Yeah, well, you know what? That won't be fucking happening because West Coast win. West Coast win. Scully keeps his clothes on. What a great result for absolutely
WA.
Nobody. Well, it's a good result that I've got my clothes on.
Yeah,
that's a good result. It's not a good result for West Coast. It's not a good result.
It's baffling.
What's going on? The feelings I have is weird because
so conflicted.
You play to win, but that's not a good result. It's not a good result.
Well, it's a bit different if it's round 13 or 14, but this is you're one step away from getting the absolute cream of the crop. So let me ask you this, Go, and it's hard to work out what the thinking is, but sure, is this a case of I'm not saying that Simpson hasn't been trying to win games of footy, but because of his situation, his tenuous situation with the board, and I don't think there's any secrets that the board is not unanimously driven for him to stay on next year. I think there is enough evidence to suggest there's, and as there should be with their record this year, there's some differing opinions. Given he finishes with a win against the Bulldogs and, dare I say it, possibly winning against Adelaide, what does that mean to the narrative? What did that result mean to the narrative of Adam Simpson keeping his job post-2023?
Well, it can't be negative, can it?
No.
It can't be a bad thing, winning a game away from home against the Bulldogs, fighting for a final spot. I don't know how that happens. I don't know if it says more about the Bulldogs, where it says more about Adam Simpson, where it says more about the playing group. I did hear that Simo put it fairly and squarely in the players' camp this week. Now, sometimes I talk about the sell. Like, there's always a motivator. You can't, especially in a year like West Coast have had, you can't roll the same thing out every week and expect, you got to change it up. But, I heard that he put it fairly and squarely. You're playing for yourselves, for your careers, not for the club, not for Adam Simpson, not for the fans. This is for you. So,
the last month has been better. Now, I say that They beat
it has.
now, bear in mind the opposition I'm about to say, but North Melbourne, they beat Essendon, who've fallen off a cliff. They came within a kick, should have beaten them, and they beat the Bulldogs. So they had a 101-point embarrassment against Fremantle. That was obviously the catalyst for more of a spotlight on Simpson, the club, etc. But the last month has not been that bad.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's a bad result, though. Like
I agree. It's the rationale. Yeah, to finish 17th, and they were thinking, well, we were thinking, do you split picks? Do you go with Harley Reid? Now, what is their best option apart from...
Why are North Melbourne getting pick 2 for Ben Mackay? Because it's a compensatory pick if he gets traded right. That's a disgrace if Ben Mackay's worth pick 2. And no disrespect
he's not
to
worth
Backman,
pick 2.
but he's not a top 10 defender in the league. Is that outrageous to say?
Yeah, well, if he is, he's on.
No. He's not a top 10 defender in the league.
No,
I'm sorry.
you're probably
I'm
right.
sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yep.
And that's no disrespect. He's not 50, but he wouldn't be the best defender at every club in the league.
No way.
Anything like that. So for him to get picked, if North Melbourne walk out of this with pick 1, pick 2, they get Reid and they get Curtin, and West Coast have just butchered himself out of both of those blokes. That's a bad result in my mind. Paul Fitzpatrick will be sitting up there having a bit of a laugh at the moment, I think. Didn't he come out and say there's no way West Coast win the Spoon? Just like me.
Just like you, except he said it when they were completely cooked during the year.
Might have been me and Fitzy doing a naked lap down off the stadium.
Oh, dear. You're right. It's almost like it's the Eagles fans watching that game going, we've beaten them, but is this good? It was just that's the problem with the draft as it stands now. It encourages tanking.
Final point, you play to win. West Coast win. That's what you do. That's what you do in the AFL.
And how's Simo's,
this is not internally. Yeah, go.
How's Simo with his post match? I only heard the quote about we're tanking. We're trying to give the ball, kick the wrong way in the last 2 or 3 minutes. So obviously Nathan Buckley came out pretty strongly a few weeks ago. Others, Kane Corns.
Apparently Nathan Buckley gave me a response to my clip at him, and I never heard it. Apparently it's on SEN somewhere. Boys were telling me about it yesterday. So
what was your clip regarding to the tanking issue?
Putting blokes behind the ball, and they couldn't get that done in the 2018 grand final with 2 minutes to go. So Bucks had a problem with Simo not putting in player behind the ball. Oh, okay. Have you not seen this?
No, well, I haven't heard the Buckley. Haven't heard the Buckley.
No, neither have I. Oh. Damien Hardwick signs on as the new coach.
Confirmed.
It is signed.
It's in done.
Yeah, I know. That's what it said.
No, I was saying in the last half an hour it's been official.
Yeah. I saw him in a Gold Coast T-shirt in front of the sponsors banner saying, "Hello, Gold Coast fans."
I've gone to the Amalfi Coast. I'm refreshed. And 5-year deal. I'm told that
does look tan.
The money isn't like you're expecting to get just fairyland money, but he's probably taken little unders so he can keep the footy department well catered for. Obviously, the question mark is which players he'll bring with him, if possible. Dusty's the number one, but I don't know. I think Dusty might be looking at playing his 300th for Richmond next year. So I think you've called it really well earlier this year about him bowing out at Richmond at the right time, knowing that the Suns were knocking on the door. Go and have a break, get yourself reloaded, and then come back now, almost refreshed, after, 2 months out of the game, hit the ground running.
He's had that conversation with Brendan Gale and said, Gold Coast have come, I'm going to go and do that. That's the decision I've made. They've sat down at that infamous meeting at Hardwick's house and they've come up with a plan to go, okay, well, we either go you through to the final round and you can see these players out, or we get you out the door, and gives us, as Richmond, an opportunity to put some guys through their strides. So Andrew McWalter's stepped up and done a good job, I would say.
And probably, at the moment, he's the front runner for the job. Can you give me?
Well, you got to think about a few assistant coaches that have stepped up into senior coaching land over the last couple of years. Adam Kingsley at the GWS Giants, he'd go close to the coach of the year.
Outstanding.
This year.
Craig McRae.
And then Craig McRae is another one on my lips that you think, well, I don't know if we would know anything about them if they haven't been a head coach at senior level. We don't know what Stephen King's like as a head coach. We don't know what Ashley Hansen is like as a head coach. We don't. I mean, I guess we do now, Andrew McWalter, but there'd be assistants around the coach, Jan Siracusa. There'd be assistants around that we have no idea. That there is another Adam Kingsley, there is another Craig McRae waiting for a job. Richmond's going to be one. Does Western Bulldogs? Is that a job vacancy? There's a potential.
I think he's got 2 years after this year.
Well, that doesn't stop anyone talking about Adam Simpson.
But there's a bit different. One club's won 4 out of 50 or something, yes. and the Bulldogs. Obviously they won their flag 2016, but they have got a team that should be playing finals and potentially going deep. But yeah, that was a big loss for the Bulldogs. And yeah, the coaching setup, and look, it brings into question if the Eagles do part ways with Adam, is who do they get in? And Dean Cox, does he come? Has he served his apprenticeship? Is he ready to go?
He's not coming to West Coast.
He's not coming to West Coast?
No, he's not coming. Can reveal that 100%. Not coming to West Coast.
Oh, is there a reason? He's comfortable in Sydney?
Mate, I can't reveal my sources.
I'm not saying to reveal your sources. You're saying, do you think he's comfortable in Sydney?
I think he'll be handed the Sydney job after John.
You think
Longmire.
he's the heir apparent?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I don't think John Longmire, and look, your mail's very good, but Longmire's not near the finishing line at Sydney, is he?
Yep, I think
at Sydney, going to another club, do you think?
No, I think he's done.
Okay.
No, and not from a performance point of view. I think he might be.
It's been a long time.
He's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Been doing the same job.
And so you think, guessing here, do you think it could be 2024 or maybe
Don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The next couple of years, though?
Yeah. I'd say within the next 2 years, Dean Cox, new coach of Sydney Swans.
You're saying if West Coast came to him, and this is hypothetical stuff.
I'm sure they already have.
But just, to approach him to be head coach?
I'm sure they would have.
Already?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah. You don't just wake up one day and go, geez, we need a head coach.
No,
but
but
planning for it.
If that's the case, so you're saying that you believe that he'd be more, given he's obviously set up his home in Sydney, than coming home to WA.
I think that's what he's doing. Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
Thirsty Camel Clanger of the week. Let's get this done and dusted now, Scott. There's no stuffing around, no looking for answers here. Don't run out of your favourites. Grab your shelters at Thirsty Camel. The Ben Keys non-goal to knock Adelaide out of finals contention, to confirm Sydney Swans as finalists.
Yeah.
People are forgetting about this.
Double whammy.
Sydney a guaranteed final spot now.
And you think of that result there, you think of North Melbourne's interchange blunder, two bizarre ways. They're not saying they wouldn't have won in the last 30 seconds, but they are the most two bizarre ways for a footy club to win a game this year. But the AFL's come out and said they've made a mistake. The umpire, look, leave him out of it. He's made it blue.
So if you haven't seen this, Ben Keys with a minute to go in a game, Adelaide down by 30 points in this one at three-quarter time. So they have come from the heavens here, put the absolute kibosh on Sydney all the way through. There's 2 points the difference. Ben Keys from the right-hand pocket, if you're looking at the goals, spins around at his left, snaps the ball, goes through, he celebrates. 5 to 7 of his teammates and he are in the crowd celebrating, like Justin Longmuir style, Nick Nananui style, celebrating in the crowd as the Sydney Swans kick out because the goal umpires...
He made a quick call.
Signalled a behind.
Yeah,
we won't ever hear from the umpire either, by the
No,
way.
and look, I feel sorry for the umpire because you can make mistakes. We've all made them.
Yes.
I guess the biggest blue is... in hindsight, is why didn't he at least go and have a review? But I just wonder whether I thought initially, it must have hit the back edge of the padding of the padding.
But it hasn't.
But it hasn't.
There's
the daylight.
It's not even. We're not even making this. We're not having a stab in the dark here. Gil McLaughlin's come out and said it was a goal. You've seen the footage from the crowd. So the crowd one's the best one because there's blatant daylight. So I don't know if there's players around the post as he had his view in post. I don't want to critique the umpire too much, but it's a huge blunder and it brings into question.
But I thought
the quality of this VAR.
So just quickly,
or VAR or
the review system.
ARC,
so he's
CI.
immediately signalled a behind. There was enough consternation. Now every goal is reviewed.
Yeah,
every goal is reviewed, but obviously not every point in that situation.
What's a worst case? What happened? And clearly it's impacted the result of the game, or 40 seconds into that play, after they've kicked in, game stopped, ball's put on the ground, said, sorry guys, we think we've stuffed this up. We need to have a look at this score. Ball goes on the ground. Maybe he got it right and it's a ball up, or whoever had the ball, free kick, or they go, right, sorry, it's a goal, wind the clock back, ball back to the middle, there's a minute to go, Adelaide, you're now in front by 4 points. I think it's the stop the game, get it right is the best outcome, not where we are now.
Don't disagree. In fact, when you talk about what we've seen at the World Cup and with football, they have a VAR ongoing as the play continues. And so they do that, to my knowledge, very similar. Stop the play if the VAR, hang on, we think it's a penalty, we think it's a handball, we think there's a foul here. So, yeah, it's one to consider. Look, it's 1 in 100, but that one was pretty important to Adelaide's chances. And look, I think Matty Nix, I thought the CEO went out and said we were angry, we were upset, but I thought Nix was, he said we didn't get the job done in the first and second quarters. That's what really hurt us. I thought he handled it pretty classily.
Yeah, that's a good point. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, Shuttle FootyCast. How'd you go on your tipping this week, Skater?
I went okay. You know who my bottle mart roughie of the week was?
What was it?
It was the Bombers against the Giants. They got absolutely flogged. It was average. My tipping wasn't bad. I did tip the Saints on Saturday night, so that was the one.
I got here 5 from 9.
You got 5?
No, you got 5 from 9.
Okay. Here. Does that include the roughie, is it?
It includes the roughie.
Anyway.
So I didn't put my tips in this week. Forgot to put them in.
Yeah,
That's where I'm at with my tipping at the moment.
Are you off the radar?
Shop's closed.
Is it so?
Shop's closed.
So you're tipping just going. Your forecast for the start of the season: Geelong to go back to back, West Coast to make finals, Fremantle to almost win it, and even 2 weeks ago, Jaden and I we actually took all the money out of our bank account, and then decided not to follow you on Taylor Walker to win the Coleman medal because it's going to be tough now.
Why is that? What
Because
is
he's 8 goals behind.
Is he 8 goals?
He's 8 goals behind with one to go.
I was going to ask you. Look, and sorry, all knowledgeable, all knowing Mark Readings. What have you actually provided this year of AFL footy?
A buddy would retire mid-season. That's what I said. And I'm right.
You are a dickhead. Wrong. No, you are a dickhead. That's what you are. You're a dickhead. West Coast defeat Western Bulldogs by 7. The point made, I didn't tip and I got 5 out of 9. And you tipped and you got 5 out of 9. They got the away teams.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. But I tipped Brisbane I tipped Brisbane first up. I don't know what else. Western Bulldogs didn't get that result. Didn't get.
I picked West Coast, mate. I picked West Coast. Well, I did. I picked your away teams.
No, well that's just an anomaly. There's a couple other teams. Maybe yesterday, was there an upset yesterday? No. I picked Port.
If only we knew what we were about to go through, the round of footy. West Coast defeat Bulldogs by 7 points. The biggest upset of the season. Yes?
Yeah, I think so.
There's no bigger upset.
No, I can't think of one with West Coast coming off. How many teams get beaten by 100 points and then win the next week? It's a pretty rare occurrence. But yesterday...
There was always going to be a bounce back, wasn't there? I mean,
was there?
Well, who knows?
I wasn't confident. I mean, you couldn't have seriously thought that they were going to get close to the Bulldogs, who have been... Anyway, their issues are pretty significant themselves, but Jamie Cripps, upside, 5 goals, really good.
Off the back, mate, he had a kid on Wednesday or Thursday this week. He flew over a day late. He rocked up the day before the game. He would have had a clear mind, wouldn't have worried about anything. Yeah. 5 goals.
And he's also re-signed a new deal with the club. So all that stuff helps.
Those things happen in the middle of the year, by the way.
I know. But
West Coast just pulling a few more things out to deflect a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean...
why wouldn't you release those when they happen? McGovern and Cripps signed during the middle of the year.
Yeah,
actually earlier than that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But some people also saying the Nick Nat Nui announcement was to take the head off Simo, possibly.
Which it was not.
No, I've actually argued this to people, given the information I had that it was going to come early in the week. Or this is the week before, so it wasn't we've been beaten here. Let's roll out Nick Nat.
He was done.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He's done.
Yeah, and people
retiring.
saying
you're not going to release it.
Some are saying it's a smoke screen.
You're not going to release it the week that Luke Shuey retires or the week that Shannon Hearn retires.
Exactly.
And you're going to give them some space.
Yeah, exactly. And I think someone told me that there was going to be early of the week that he did retire, that would be when it's going to happen. So the Derby and
did I tell you that?
Well,
I think I might. Are you going to release your source?
Yeah, well,
I told you that. That's all right.
Yeah.
I told you that because that was what was happening.
Yeah.
I don't... Look, I know a lot of things that go on in our footy clubs and I don't release them, but this is one that people are saying publicly, well, it was put out because of this and that. Mate, he was done. He retired. He didn't want to do it the same week as his other mates, so they did it on the Monday. Just so it happened to be, he's playing for a shithouse football club that has some unbelievably way beaten the Western Bulldogs this week. They lost by 100 points. That wasn't Nick Nat's fault.
No. Anyway, so...
Eagles go to 17th. No nudie run. That's right. You will not see me running nude laps of Optus Stadium unless the Kangaroos beat Gold Coast this week.
5 goals. Was it 5 goals to 1 in the first quarter?
Yeah, smashed them.
Yeah,
so 6. Yeah, they're up by 4 goals.
5 goals to 3 at quarter time. They kicked 2 late. Yep. Norton with a late goal as well. So
Dogs insipid, given what was on the line for them or what is on the line. That's a terrible loss, isn't it?
It's massive. And just think, Oscar Allen should get to 50 goals this week for the season.
Which is incredible.
He
was very, very good.
Extraordinary.
Tim Kelly,
I wouldn't have played him.
Tim Kelly wins the best and fairest.
He does?
Yeah, he would have got full 15 votes for the game he played on the weekend.
His season's been one of excellence early. I think had some moments every player's had their moments at the club this year where they've fallen away. But yeah, I think you're right. The John Worsfold medal would be his. Again, I'm surprised Oscar Allen played on the weekend because I was thinking, right, obviously protect your gun. He looks sore, looks banged up. He was ill, of course, as well. And, again, I don't want to win the game myself if I'm a West Coast Eagle fan.
Yes.
And, again, we've been...
Elliot Yeo plays in the midfield, does his hamstring. You need to keep him in the back line. Adam Simpson came out and said that was directly his fault, as in directly Adam Simpson's fault. Kept him in the midfield for too long.
Yep.
Which I think is quite strange, hearing that from a coach. His body can't stand up to the rigours of playing in the midfield, so you don't play him in there again, unfortunately. Yep. Would you agree with that?
Well,
the proof's in the pudding, unfortunately.
No, I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing. I don't mind Adam Simpson. If you're saying you want transparency from the game, I made a mistake.
No, yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, I'd much rather that than sort of talking the rubbish that sometimes comes out of coach's mouth. No, I like a bit of transparency. And he said, "Yep, got that one wrong." People, as I said to you, Scully. People not forgive. You don't have to be forgiven for this, but people like a bit of honesty. Yes. If you say, "Yeah, I got that one wrong," and "Yeah, we got that one right," but yeah, that one probably next time if I have a time again. So
I think Gov's done his hamstring as well, so he'll be
any ribs.
What's that?
He got crunched yesterday.
Yeah, he did. I don't know. It looked like his elbow, that incident. If he is not playing next week,
he'll be really
disappointed. Be absolutely
gutted,
filthy and flat. Yeah. Couldn't be more gutted.
So. Given what's happening with the farewell match.
I wouldn't be surprised if McGovern plays with a torn hamstring, if that is what has happened. Port Adelaide defeat Fremantle by 16 points. Freo probably should have lost this one by more. They fought back late in the game. Tom Emmett made his debut. I really liked him. Yeah. I really liked him.
Got a bit about him.
Yeah, he's hard, he's big, he's strong, I think he gave Freo something different, so thought we'd get that out of the way off the top. Zach Butters was best on ground.
How good see.
Very good. He's even better if you don't man him up in a forward 50 stoppage as well. So
but
the goal he kicked, no one on him.
Trying to think, was it Butters with the look away over the top hand?
They've got a connection.
Him and Rosie are a bit like the Cracker brothers in the sense that they have this innate ability to find each other or know where the other players on the ground.
It's actually their voice. So being ground level, I was boundary riding yesterday and there was a few players right in front of me. Travis Boak is actually very similar. So I would say these two have learned it off Boakey. Their voice is really distinct, and that's what the connection is.
It's high pitched, is it?
It's just they know it's them, you know.
And you can see there's a bit of a synergy between the two.
One of them will get it, and you'll just hear the other one squealing for the ball, and it's a good thing because they're guns.
They're a good side, aren't they? Look, they weren't at their best yesterday, but there's a bit to like about Port. I'm not writing them off by any stretch for the finals. Charlie Dixon comes back.
You're not writing them off, and they're equal with points. They may finish top of the ladder if they.
I'm not discarding them to win. No, mate, they lost four in a row only a couple of weeks ago. Okay. So there was a lot of question. I think we all had a question mark. But no, from what I saw, they've got some really, really good upside there. And I like when they get their ball movement going and their midfield set up. And look, I know he won't get votes but I thought a couple of things Horn Francis did yesterday, just elite.
They've got a pretty. What I do like about Port Adelaide is they've got a pretty mixed bag. Like they do pretty well across the ground. They don't have too many standouts. Rosie and Butters are the guys, but they pretty much get the job done all over. Fremantle. That's the last game you'll see of them in Western Australia. Is
that the last game you'll see of Liam Henry at Optus Stadium? That's the question.
Well,
31 disposals.
I really like Liam Henry. I really like the way he plays. I know he doesn't have the most polished skills.
The disposal at times
is... He's a young player. I tell you what, he's not old. It's the first time in his career that I've seen Fremantle back him in and play him regularly. Now, whether that's because they want to trade him, whether that's because he's playing well enough to keep his spot, he hasn't had a consistent run at a spot like this, and you don't improve unless you're given that. So I think he has improved. I think he takes the game on.
He's a natural wingman, isn't he?
It's what Fremantle need, mate. You don't hit any of the kicks you don't take, right?
Yeah. You've got it right. And he's got one thing that we've noticed is if you've got pace.
He's got pace. He's a risk taker. Hey, he's getting 30, but he probably doesn't need 30. He can break the game open with a few things he does. That's what Fremantle need. They're too safe this side. I mean, we'll summarise them at the end of the year, but they've been terrible. They have been terrible, Fremantle, off the back of what they did last year, and to come through, deliver the inconsistent performances they have. They've been safe, they've been slow, they've been enabled to transition the ball, and we saw all of this yesterday. They haven't brought pressure at times. They haven't brought defensive pressure consistently, and they've looked like a bad football team for a large part of this season. I think it's been a really disappointing year by Freo, and it was summarised yesterday in that play I'm talking about. Zach Butters, probably the most dangerous midfielder in the competition, he and Rosie and a few others, is at a defensive 50 stoppage with not one player on him. And he goes in, he cuts left, he gets the ball, he snaps it over his head like a bicycle kick, kicks the goal. Not a Freo player on him. That for me, that's a big alarm bells. Like that'll be the first thing they watch today. Like knowing what happens in footy clubs, you can get your ball movement stuff and your team defence and all this. If you can't get midfielders manned up at a forward 50 stoppage, that's bad, real bad. It's bad on the backmen. It's bad on the midfielders doing their job. I think Fremantle. The only reason that we haven't talked about them more is West Coast season, and that's saying something.
Yeah, they haven't. Look, yesterday they weren't terrible by any means. I mean, I thought the pressure was okay. They lost by 16 points.
They were fumbly.
They were fumbly, but they still lost by 2.5 kicks. So I agree. There's a massive. All those points you made were correct, and they have to address those. For what it's worth, Liam Henry, a bit of talk about Collingwood for him. I get the gut feeling he's leaving. That's without knowing anything about his situation. If he hasn't committed or it hasn't been sorted by now, then it's getting into that dangerous territory.
Big Cole Young's his manager as well, so usually gets a bit of movement late in the year. Cole, Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shuttle FootyCast. All right, Skeet, we've got the great Doug Hawkins coming in after this one, mate. So we're going to rapid fire these one. Brisbane defeat Collingwood by 24 points. What does this say more about Brisbane or Collingwood? It's at where was it?
Marvel Stadium.
Right.
So
which is ridiculous.
Ridiculous, but that being said, look, if ever Brisbane were going to beat Collingwood in Melbourne, which, they've got a record against them in the last, I think one of the last 5 possibly.
Yeah.
Collingwood, undermanned. Zagowie, of course, out. Hill out. Moore out. And Dacos. So this was their chance to get them. And look, like it or not, Scully, I know you don't rate Brisbane as a premiership chance.
Still don't.
Guess what?
Still don't.
They're in pole position to actually get to the grand final. So
Gonna win it still. Let's just put this on the stack of things that I've said during the year that no doubt I'm going to wake up grand final eve and Brisbane will be holding the cup up and I'll be going.
Grand final, you mean post-grand final?
Oh, I might have slept through the grand final. You never know.
You might have slept through.
1-3 the last 4 weeks, Collingwood. So they're in a bit of strife. No Dacos. He's showing his importance to that side.
Is it a team that knows they've got sort of top 2 wrapped up? And is any of that in there or not?
Someone told me they were in a high loading.
You told me last week.
Yeah, someone told me that. So I can't remember who told me that. But they've had another injury out of this one. DeGoey's not playing. Darcy Moore's not playing. They're the 3 best players. So you see what happens when your best players don't play. You can't win games of footy. Just a quick one because we do have to keep moving, Skeeter. Devon Robinson lost.
Well, not that it worries me, but a couple of the females on Twitter were very keen.
Would have been excited, I'm assuming. 20,000 Instagram followers for his troubles, I believe. He went from 10,000 to 30.
Doubled his chances. Holy dooly. That's anyway. He's got a good rig.
So maybe I need to do the naked Optus run.
No, you should really.
I think I'd probably go backwards. I'd go backwards.
I'm barracking for North this week, big time.
Okay, very good. Richmond defeat North Melbourne by 29 points. Bit of an irrelevant one, the result this one, but Jack Rewald, Trent Cotchin and Jack Zeeble all finish up. The retiring class this year is
enormous.
Absolutely elite.
Imagine that, the lap of the MCG with Buddy and all the players. My man Shea Bolton kicked 4. You mentioned poor old Jack got whacked outside of South Yarra pub on the Saturday night, which sounds really bad. So hopefully he's okay. But the Tigers, this was... I know they were short price favourite. This was the lock of the round. They were always going to beat North Melbourne given the retiree factor. And
Nick Larkey kicked 6 goals. He's kicked 62 this year. Does he?
All Australian? He's got to be close, doesn't he? I mean, you think of Walker and Curnow. Can you fit 3 giants in your?
I'm not writing off Tex Walker for the Coleman. I'm just saying that right.
So he's going to have to kick. Give Curnow 2 goals this week.
I'll give him 1.
Okay, so you've got to kick 9 goals. I love it, Scully. And guess what? You'll be riding at home. But your only problem is here.
No McGovern, no Yo. Who's going to play on Tex Walker, mate?
That's true. By the same token, with their finals chances gone, they'll be on the margaritas, I reckon, before the game. And West Coast,
not Tex, mate.
West Coast are a silly chance.
What do you think West Coast are playing for?
2 blokes are retiring.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Carlton defeat Gold Coast by 4 points. Let's move on, Skeeter. Blues locked in for finals for the first time since 2013.
Good on them. I like it. It's great for the comp. And, they're in a bit of trouble early doors. They were down by 33 points at quarter time.
I called that with you. No, I didn't call it with you.
No, I was in Mandurah.
Where?
Peel and West Perth, yeah.
Oh, yeah, great. I called this game 20 minutes in the first quarter. I said, done, dusted, Gold Coast don't lose this. It's all over. There's no way. But they were 8 goals up quarter time.
Yeah, it's 33 points. But, yeah, they were playing really good footy. And it could have been a bigger lead. But this is the new Carlton, and I really, the fact, and I mentioned Charlie, he was
5 goals.
He was instrumental.
He went behind the play. He was taking marks to save the game. He's a very good player. Harry Mackay made his way back. Doesn't kick many, if any. Did he kick one? He's
got 1 goal next to his name.
So he comes back. The big worry was, we're going to affect the way we're kicking to Charlie Curnow. Well, he was best on ground with Harry Mackay.
He's terrific. And 75 goals, good to see a forward. And Tex will get to the 70 probably plus. You think to get that sort of those numbers back, we've had a couple of years where it's 50, 60 goals. But Gold Coast Suns, I think Hardwick will see some really good signs, and they've got some really good academy kids coming through. They are going to be okay.
Are they?
Providing, if Damien Hardwick can't get them up and running.
Is he going to win a flag in the next 5 years with them?
I think that the job for him is to get them playing finals the next year or two, and then after that, who knows with the Suns.
Can Gold Coast win the flag in the next 5 years under Damien Hardwick?
No.
Is that what this deal he signed? He would have signed a 5-year deal. I don't even know.
5-year deal. Yes,
Right.
It is 5 years.
So does he win his flag in the first 5 years?
Well, given what we've seen from the Gold Coast history,
I say no.
You'd say no, but that's an easy answer because they're so tough to win. St Kilda's won one.
I mean, it's only an answer. It's either yes or no. It's not an easy answer.
It's no. But because that's if the market's framed, it's a no.
Okay. GWS defeat Essendon by 126 points. I called this one, and it was absolute debauchery on air on 6PR.
You got that one, did you?
No, we called this, and by the end of it, I was just in full-blown clown mode.
Wow.
So I was commentating. I was coming over the top of the play-by-players, calling Tom Green. He was my vice captain in fantasy footy, and it was just a Essendon. Remember that day we watched Essendon here at Optus, and you were so disappointed with the defence. This was way worse. They were from the first minute not there.
Yeah.
They were not there.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not sure how your man Toby Green went because I didn't do the game, but in the Brownlow sense,
Mate, they subbed him off. They subbed him off halfway through the third.
Injured or just
It was
managed?
a bit of I reckon it was managed.
Yep.
But he copped a knock on his ankle.
So off the back of that, given they win by that margin, does a full forward in Jesse Hogan who kicks 9, does he get the 3 Brownlow votes?
Jesse Hogan gets the 3 Brownlow votes. Tom Green had 39 disposals and was very good. Jesse Hogan had 24 disposals, 17 marks.
Who was playing with him?
9 goals. No one. Essendon were not playing. Essendon were not playing, mate. And it was absolutely hilarious. So with that 15 minutes ago, he kicked his 9th. And I was just on full-blown Hogan watch. Clear him out, get out of the way. And they were. They were trying
20 and 10.
They were trying to get it to him. He couldn't walk. I think, geez, I reckon they was like, you want to get him 10, but they were slightly regret, mate. He was cooked. Like, he was butchered. I hope
They've got a big game this week against it's the Blues, I think they've got. Yeah, at Marvel Stadium. Let's be honest, they win this next weekend. They play finals. That's huge. But the Bulldogs and Geelong, there's still that possibility that there could be a team outside the 8 come in. But the Giants deserve to play finals.
They do. They're playing on a team that needs to play finals. There's a real chance here that GWS play Carlton in the last round, and then they back up again
in the first
round, 8th v 5th.
Wow.
That should happen, really, if all goes to plan. So I don't know if you think that's a good or a bad thing. I think if they do make finals, I think they'll lose against Carlton. I think Bulldogs get done against Geelong. There'll be a few players probably retire for Geelong maybe. And they get up at home. And then Carlton, after having a down week, an up week against GWS, are going to get knocked off in the first week of finals by GWS. Another prediction probably down the toilet. St Kilda defeat Geelong by 33 points. Geelong, done. See you later.
Yeah, they've fired their shot last year, and I just think it looked like a team that had worked so hard to get to the top of the mountain. They've achieved it. Their senior players, you just can't. I don't think it's very hard to replicate that intensity. And look, St Kilda, I think I'd rather focus on what they did on the weekend. They were really good, and I did tip them somewhere. I don't know if I tipped them here, but I definitely thought they could win the game. What they show with Sinclair off halfback doesn't really get
38
gets
touches.
So much of the footy. Yep. Not sure how much attention they pay to him, but he was terrific. Rowan Marshall, now he's not going to be an All-Australian ruckman, but he is a very, very good ruckman. He's got to be in the top 5 ruckman in the comp, doesn't he?
Ollie Henry played in the ruck on the weekend for Geelong. He's 189 centimetres, so that's why he dominated.
But also around the ground, he's a presence. I think Rowan
Marshall's a very good player.
Yes.
I like how he goes about it. I think Tim English, Max Gorn probably not. I think it's himself and Tim English are the All-Australian ruckman this year. One on the bench, one on the ground.
I think there's going to be I think just trying to think of Tim English a lock.
Ryan Marshall's got to play. He's had the back end of his year's been better than Tim English's. Sydney defeat Adelaide by 1 with an asterisk.
Yeah, we touched on that.
I reckon it's an asterisk, isn't it?
We touched on that.
6 wins in a row by the Swans. So them and Carlton. Carlton have won 9 in a row. Swans 6 in a row. They're both very in form. Swans led by 44 points at one stage during this game.
That's extraordinary. The most famous number, 44 points. You just don't get beaten.
No.
Historically, and they almost did. They stopped in the last quarter. We've talked about this game in the respect that Sydney dominated, except for the last quarter. It was 4-1 behind.
Tom Papley's done a hamstring, and Tom McCartan offered a 2-week suspension for a high bump. So whoever gets them,
he misses the first week of the finals.
Mate, well, so does Papley. Hamstring, you're not coming back. You're not coming back.
Remember, there's a week break, so he's a half a chance.
Nope, no, he's not. He's done
1, 2, so 3 weeks. You can't get back in 3 weeks.
Well, maybe he is.
I'm thinking, hang on a sec. I actually see Joe and I believe this crap, and I go, I walk out of here going, Scully's 100% right.
What do you think I do? You think I come in here and 7 hours of preparation?
You'd be so adamant that you're right, and I go, I must be wrong.
It's a secret talent of mine, Skeeter. I convince people to do things. Melbourne defeat Hawthorn by 27 points. Clayton Oliver I'm going to start with this. Clayton Oliver gets tagged out of the game by Finn McGuinness, and Simon Goodwin's having a sook about it. I reckon Simon Goodwin would be absolutely wrapped if Finn McGuinness played for his football side.
Absolutely.
Well, Finn McGuinness kept Clayton Oliver 16 or 14.
14.
Yeah, well,
job done.
Bring back the tag.
Job done.
Yeah,
Goodwin saying Finn McGuinness has no interest in the footy.
No, he doesn't. His interest is to stop your best player from getting it, mate, as every team should have. Yeah. Why do we not do this more?
You know what? I like Goodwin saying that. It's all a bit of the theatre and a bit of the to and fro, but you're right. I think 27 points. I'm still loving what Hawthorn's done this year. That's just the season they want to launch for next year.
Game 200 ran out with the kids. Melbourne locked in for top 4 now. We just have to wait and see where they actually finish. I think it's 4th. Is that how that works?
They can't be displaced from the top 4. They've got a better percentage than Port Adelaide, who if they lose to say Richmond next week, which won't be happening,
so they can jump up to second.
They can jump to second, but that means Port's got to lose to Richmond, Brisbane's got to lose to St Kilda. Possible, but not likely. John Newcombe didn't play in the game, laid out with a hamstring, so that didn't help the Hawks' scores. But they've done enough, Melbourne. They haven't been. They've sunk under the radar, to be honest with you.
Their forward line's an issue, I think. Jake Melksham and Jacob Van Rooyen kicks 3 goals each. I don't know if they have
the right mix.
Yeah,
and look,
they've been searching for that. Grundy doesn't play. They've clipped him. They're done with him.
Yeah,
I'm looking ahead. See him back.
I'm looking ahead. Collingwood, Melbourne qualifying final. If all things are equal, I think that's how it's shaping. Not bad.
You could almost see Melbourne beating them.
Friday night, MCG. Will they get 90? They'd have to get 90. Anyway, we're talking 3 weeks away, essentially. But yeah, it's a massive finals. And now here's a stat I've read. Now I might be wrong here. Since the formation of the AFL, VFL,
paid no attention.
The Carlton, St Kilda, and Melbourne, first time that they're all going to play finals in the same year. I found that quite extraordinary. They're all foundation clubs.
They're foundation clubs, and they've never played finals together. And this is I'm pretty sure back in the day there was 6 teams playing. Do you know what I mean? And they still couldn't all make it at the same time. So it's the first time ever. I did say
Carlton obviously would be the most successful of that group, but St Kilda's had, and Melbourne, they've been through, both those clubs have been through some really tough times.
Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, Shelter FootyCast. Here we go. Okay, we like some of these. James Keys, 9284. Thanks for the postcode, James. $10 fine for Schofield, 10 cents for every shit Dacos take. I think I couldn't be more spot on. Nick Dacos. Oh, probably not. Apparently he came in, Nick Dacos. He blew out to $6 when he did his knee for the Brownlow. And he's come back into $1.80. So Bontempelli hasn't quite probably got the votes
yesterday.
Required.
I thought yesterday was his real chance to lock 3 away. And
I reckon he probably gets a vote yesterday.
Do you?
Yeah, he had one at 32. I reckon he might steal 1 vote.
Might get one. But anyway, so Bont's got 1 more to go against the Cats to try and either overhaul or kick clear of whoever he's near.
Thanks for the feedback, James. Piss off. Philip White, a very, very OG contributor here at BackChat and Shelter FootyCast. Oscar Allen's 2023 season is better than Mark Lacroix's 2010 season, where he was robbed of an All-Australian jacket. Is the poor form of West Coast robbing Oscar a spot in the team of the All-Australian side?
Oh, look, we talked to the other forwards that are up there, and He's been. Nick Larkey similarly has been just as good, I think, for North, given the team's lack of success. Clubs apparently circling Oscar Allen, offering him the captaincy.
I've seen that.
I mean, what? It's not happening. But
I don't think that's true either. I think that's like the Nick Nanui thing. I think that's completely falsified.
What's that?
Oscar Allen's getting offers and captaincy offers from other sides. I don't think that's happening.
How could a journalist know? Anyway,
I don't think that's happening.
No. Okay.
But
to go back to Oscar Allen, really good year. I know you've got Tim Kelly winning the Worsfold medal for the club champion, but this guy's got to be in the top 3, doesn't he? Sure.
Yeah, he'll be second, and I reckon Bailey Williams will be third. He had a really good game on the weekend as well. Look, I think the only argument around the All-Australian stuff would be if he played in a better side, maybe he kicks more goals. You still can't You can't have 4 key forwards in there. So,
and you have to go. I know
Charlie Curnow
you've got to go on
locked.
Numbers a little bit. You have to go on numbers with goal.
Charlie Curnow is locked.
Yes.
Tex Walker, is he locked? I don't know if he's locked.
Like he's got 62 Walker, and I think you're still obliged to go with a bit of the numbers.
Larkey, Walker, and Oscar Allen would be the next 3. I think.
Yep.
Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Who else is? Toby Green's kicked a lot of goals.
56.
He plays.
Absolutely. He could be captain. I mean, Darcy Moore's probably captain, but he deservedly would be in the conversation.
Last one, Benjamin Fox. Do the Eagles need to look at having Simpson stay one more season and get a bunch of draft prospects and a success of a Simo so that the incoming coach has something to work with? We haven't really spoken about Adam Simpson. The metronome, or whatever, the pressure gauge by the end of last week.
It was enormous.
Right, so I think we're probably expecting to roll in here and talk about Adam Simpson's time as a West Coast Eagles coach after being sacked after losing to Western Bulldogs by 100 points.
No, I actually didn't. Well, maybe you have better information than me. I didn't think, and I don't think anything was going to happen until after the home and away season. That was my, and yeah, I don't think that was on the cards. I thought they were going to wait until the end of the year anyway.
Yes.
The next board meeting isn't scheduled, I don't think, till after the home and away season. Of course, there were some board members in Melbourne yesterday. In fact, maybe the whole board was there. We're not sure, but lots of them were there. So, yeah, the Simpson one, as I said, that win, it complicates a lot of things. About the board and where they head with Simpson, and how much do they take out of what happens on Saturday night as well. You've got those things waiting in the wings. Yeah, it's and of course the draft is now turned on its head a bit with the victory. So yeah, you said at the start of the show, but it was a strange win to have for a club that could have had a very nice look at the early part. They still will, but yeah, it was unusual, mixed feelings for a lot of Eagles people.
If they've got no McGovern this week, I've got grave fears. I know that there'll be effort put on for Shuey and Hearn, but they're 2 big outs if that's the case.
Yep.
Shelter XPA X Factor Skeeter, I've got one name on my mind. Jamie Cripps, 5 goals.
Yeah, Jamie Cripps, 5.
Hasn't had a carton. He's just had another child. Like, we both know what that's like. Two children running around.
Yeah, I'd had him in one little night of.
Would you put? Is that a skill of yours?
I think so. Yeah, my boys can swim. That's what I like to say. Now you get in the excavator, Jamie. You know what? You'll need it just to wet the baby's head. And
of BackChat ales.
I had one of these on the weekend.
BackChat ale.
Yeah, I pinched out of your fridge because
bit parched.
It's a bit parched. No, I like it. Seriously.
You're in here on Thursday morning.
Yeah, I was here Thursday. Yeah.
Should you have it Thursday morning on the way
No,
out?
I had it on Friday night watching the footy or something. What was I about to say? So we give to Jamie Cripps the magnificent product, but I think unluckily, even though he's a West Australian, I think Jesse Hogan probably.
I saw that. Yeah, doing a double up.
No, I'm just saying he probably a bit stiff to miss out kicking 9.
He deserves it as well. I know all are very happy at GWS about West Coast as well. GWS.
Oh yes,
the West Coast.
I saw
Eagles.
that little tweet.
That is us.
And by the way,
yes.
to Piers Morgan, guess what, you numpty? You finished second in the World Cup. You didn't win the Ashes, men or women. The World Cup of netball, you got rollers. Well, you haven't won a damn thing this season. So, as Travis Kelce would say in the classics,
know your role and shut your mouth.
Skeeter's spray. That's a new segment for next week. We had some feedback on the emails about that. FootyCast at shelterbrewing.com.au. Tell us what you want to hear. We're going to roll this after footy season as well. Skeet doesn't know it. We're going to keep going. No breaks for you, Skeeter. Well done. Good job. Piss off Piers Morgan. Sucked in.